Drug smuggling has been going on internationally for a long time. Usually, remote border areas are used for smuggling, and to avoid getting caught by the police, various strategies are resorted to at different times. However, there was a drug dealer in history from whom law enforcement agencies themselves had to adopt various strategies to survive. He is called the first successful international drug dealer in the history of the world. Some call him by the title King of Cocaine. Many others call him Godfather. Again, to many, he was the poor man's friend, Robin Hood, who alone controlled 80% of the cocaine market supplied to America. In today's episode, we will know the details about the Cocaine King, the Godfather, the great drug lord, Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar was born on December 1, 1949, in Rionegro, a small town in Colombia. Escobar was the third of 7 children of his parents. On one hand, a large family, on the other hand, a life of constant struggle. All in all, his family had to handle the terrifying grip of poverty from an early age. There is a saying that people who do something big in life are either born with a silver spoon in their mouth or rise from a very poor family. That is what happened in Pablo Escobar's case. Although not born with a silver spoon in his mouth, extreme poverty inspired him to become very big in life. When Escobar was of school-going age, his family left Rionegro and came to a town near Medellin. His school teacher mother and farmer father admitted the children to school for education. The rest of the children of the family seemed to understand their parents' sorrow. Except for Escobar, the rest were attentive to their studies. But Escobar was different from others since childhood. He wanted to be the country's president. Becoming the owner of lots and lots of money was the sole purpose of his life. He used to cheat in school exams all the time. Although his father scolded Escobar about this, his mother said nothing. Rather, it is said that after Escobar was caught cheating in school, his mother supposedly said, "Stealing is not a crime, but getting caught stealing is a crime." Chichut! Such indulgence from his mother truly pushed Pablo Escobar towards the criminal world. It started with petty crimes, such as stealing stones from cemeteries, selling fake lottery tickets, and gradually gaining the companionship of gang leaders. Then, after growing up a bit, leaving stones aside, Pablo Escobar created a separate identity for himself in the criminal world by stealing cars and giving threats over the phone. And supposedly, he decided then that he had to become a billionaire before the age of 22 by any means. Otherwise, he would kill himself. Pablo Escobar was solidifying his place in the criminal world bit by bit. But suddenly, a big success came. By kidnapping a government official in Medellin and collecting a ransom of $100,000. Basically, after this, Pablo Escobar came to the attention of gang leaders. Along with that, he became a hero to those who had newly stepped into the criminal world. However, by doing these jobs, he wasn't quite satisfied, because he had already set the goal of becoming a billionaire. So he thought he had to do something more profitable. In these petty jobs, on one hand, the money is less, and the risk of getting caught is also high. At that time, Colombia was well known for marijuana. The drug trade revolved mainly around this marijuana. But suddenly, cocaine came into the market, and within a short time, the cocaine business turned into the most profitable drug business in the world. So Escobar chose the cocaine trade as a way to get rich easily. Initially, Escobar used to bring coca paste from Bolivia. Later, making cocaine powder from those, he used to smuggle it to Panama by stuffing it inside plane tires. However, not much profit was actually being made, because more than half of what came from smuggling would go away in paying bribes here and there. So Escobar decided to start the cocaine business on a larger scale. Around 1975, Pablo Escobar's cocaine business began. Shortly after starting, he got into trouble with other gang leaders of Medellin. But no one could stand against Escobar in that way. As a result, within a short time, Pablo Escobar literally became the godfather of Medellin. Because his thinking was completely different from everyone else, he formed an organization named the Medellín Cartel to run his cocaine business in an organized manner. And by mid-1978, the organization began supplying about 35 fili per ton of cocaine per month alone, making cocaine easily available in the U.S. market. As a result, Pablo Escobar had to supply even larger amounts of cocaine to America. Although the price decreased compared to before, the demand was increasing. As a result, Escobar's profit margin was also increasing. Day by day, Pablo Escobar's business kept getting bigger. So innovation came in cocaine smuggling too. Private planes, helicopters, and it is even said that Pablo Escobar used to supply cocaine using submarines. At this time, the amount of his wealth seemed to touch the sky. The amount of his money increased so much that at that time, supposedly rubber bands worth about $200,000, currency units implied, were bought every month just to bundle the dollars. Because he couldn't keep all his money in the bank even if he wanted to, he had to keep it at home. Even at one point, there was no space left in the house, so boxes filled with dollars were buried in the ground. Needless to say, the sudden increase in cocaine supply in the American market had a negative impact on society. So this time, the American government sat up and took notice. Pablo Escobar's notoriety as a drug dealer had spread in the United States as well. So the U.S. administration warned Colombia and demanded that they hand over Pablo Escobar to them. But the Colombian government was somewhat helpless, because they did not have the ability to touch Escobar. In 1989, presidential candidate Luis Carlos campaigned strongly that if elected, he would completely eradicate drugs from Colombia. Escobar did not tolerate such a threat. The result, Luis Carlos was killed by Escobar. Not just one, but a total of 3 presidential candidates lost their lives at Escobar's hands. About 400 police officers and 30 judges were also killed by Escobar's forces. Of course, before killing anyone, Pablo adopted a policy. First, trying to compromise by giving a bribe. If the bribe wasn't taken, then direct killing. However, Escobar realized that dollars could not stop his downfall. To survive, political power was needed. With this goal, he stood by the helpless people of Medellin City. Whatever anyone needed, Pablo Escobar started helping everyone with money, in such a way that in Medellin, Pablo Escobar's word had more value than the government's law. In a word, surpassing the government and the state, Pablo Escobar became the undeclared ruler in Medellin. The poor, helpless people liked and loved him madly. So even if the government wanted to, they couldn't just go after Pablo suddenly. So, sensing the opportunity, Escobar tried to make a compromise agreement with the government. He stated that he would pay off all of Colombia's national debt. In exchange, all cases against him must be withdrawn, and he must not be handed over to America in any way. In 1991, an agreement was made between the government and Pablo Escobar. The condition was that he had to surrender to the government. Escobar agreed to this too, but he added an unbelievably ridiculous condition. The prison where he would stay, the guards would be his own people. Inside the prison, from a swimming pool to a playground, everything must be there. Again, he would build this prison himself. It can be said that the government was actually helpless before Pablo Escobar's popularity. Otherwise, would anyone accept such conditions? Finally, Pablo Escobar was imprisoned in the jail he built himself, and he was the only prisoner in that five-star quality jail. The rest were all his servants. A few days later, it was seen that he was managing the drug business beautifully sitting in jail. So the government decided to keep him in a regular prison with other prisoners. But Pablo Escobar got this news beforehand, so without delay, he escaped. Meanwhile, under pressure from the United States, the Colombian government was also helpless. A special force consisting of about 2,000 members was formed to find Pablo Escobar. After searching for several days, finally, on December 7, 1993, he was found in a house in the barrio. The special force raided there. Then, while escaping through the roof of that house, he lost his life to the bullets of the special force. One of the world's richest men of that time, the Robin Hood of Medellin, the godfather of Colombia, the king of cocaine, Pablo Escobar,